How did Sami people experience assimilation? Imagine living in a place where your language, traditions, and way of life are suddenly pushed aside. That is what many Sami people faced as their cultures were targeted for assimilation. The Sami people, who live in the Arctic regions of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia, experienced this mainly through government policies that aim to erase their identity. These policies started in the 1800s and continued into the mid-1900s, affecting their language, culture, and land rights. Schools played a big role in this process. Sami children were sent to boarding schools run by Christian churches, where they were forced to speak only the dominant national language and abandon their native tongue. They were told their culture was inferior and made to believe that fitting into the majority society was the only way to succeed. These schools banned Sami languages and traditions, making children ashamed of their heritage. Beyond schools, governments promoted what was called Norwegianization or similar policies in Sweden and Finland. These policies aimed to replace Sami culture with the culture of the dominant nation. They encouraged intermarriage, took away Sami lands, and tried to make Sami people adopt the majority culture fully. This was driven by the idea that Sami people were inferior and that controlling their land would benefit the nation. Economic pressures also played a part. Development projects like mining and forestry in Sami territories led to land loss and environmental changes that made traditional reindeer herding harder. Reindeer herding is a key part of Sami life, and losing access to land threatened their survival. Scientific racism also added to the problem. Pseudoscientific studies falsely claimed Sami people were racially inferior, which increased discrimination and stigma. Many Sami grew ashamed of their roots and stopped speaking their languages, which today are endangered. Despite these hardships, Sami communities have fought back. They have started language programs, cultural festivals, and political groups like the Sami Parliaments in Norway, Sweden, and Finland. These efforts help keep Sami culture alive and protect their rights. Looking at the bigger picture, the Sami experience reflects a pattern seen in many indigenous groups across the Arctic and subarctic. Expanding nation-states often try to control land and resources, which can threaten indigenous ways of life. The harsh environment of the polar regions made losing land and culture especially difficult for Sami people. Still, their resilience and efforts to preserve their identity show how strong their spirit is. Their story is a reminder of the importance of respecting indigenous cultures and their right to maintain their unique way of life.